TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark savage stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah Podcast. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again today. As always, we're going to do open lines. Phone lines are open. Q&A, hanging out with the chat. Supposed to have a guest on today, but they're on the other side of the world, so it's probably like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning where they are in New Zealand right now. So when you run into those issues with the timing, sometimes it gets kind of funky. But you know what? We're going to make it happen. Q&A, again, the phone lines are open. Got to have some type of topic going into this. So I was looking around and trying to see what to talk about. And a friend of mine the other day, someone who listens to the podcast and someone who follows the work, made this interesting post on her page. And please don't get offended, but I want to answer this, especially because I just wrote a whole book on the subject. But she had this comment, and maybe she was in her feelings a little bit, but she said that Jesus did not teach on demonology, and we don't need to know anything about spirits and demons and things like that. That kind of like it's all found just in Jesus. You know, Christians say, just Jesus. We don't need anything else, just Jesus. And so, man, I don't know how many times I've said that on my spiritual journey and being a Christian and in and out the church. And when things get a little bit cloudy and foggy, it's like, oh, just Jesus. I'm putting all this esoteric stuff down. I'm putting down all the aliens, the Nephilim, the giants, the mysticism, synchronicity, putting it all down, and I only need Jesus, right? So we get into this weird headspace where it's like, put everything aside and only follow him. That's good. I believe it. Just Jesus. It's always just Jesus until we start talking about anything else. It's like, I'm just going to do Jesus, and I'm going to go to church, and I'm going to just, okay, it's always just Jesus until tithes and offerings comes up. Okay, well, Jesus and tithes. It's always just Jesus until this comes up, or until that comes up. And then until someone gives an opinion on the Nephilim or on the giants or on the giftings of the Holy Spirit. So it's like, okay, it's just Jesus and this and then that. And you find out that this whole simplicity of just Jesus doesn't really work. Jesus is your foundation. That foundation is love, right? And anytime we try to build on top of that, anything that can be will be shaken. So we got to make sure that everything we build is built upon the foundation of that first love, which is Christ crucified, for many of you who are Christians, right? But other than that, when things get foggy and hazy, you just try to push everything to the side. We don't need demonology. We don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need other books or whatever the case is. We just need Jesus. And so I kind of think that that's where she was at. I mean, we've all been there. We go back there sometimes, right? But she was saying that she was done with all this demonology and teachers and people wanting to sell you things or sell you a private session. Some of it gets really weird. Just do a session to remove alien implants. Let's do a session to, clear up your past lives or whatever. I don't know. I do private sessions. And again, I just did a whole book on the spirit realm, and there's so much in here, like every topic that I cover, and then there's a lot of crazy out of this world spirits, ghosts, aliens, Nephilim, UFOs, all kinds of chanting mantras. Like I address it all, and I give a lot of scriptural backing for a lot of this stuff. And like the more you read the scriptures, the more you find out there's a lot of interesting stuff that's in the Bible. One of my big influences into getting into any of this stuff has been the work of Patrick Cook, who's no longer with us. He passed away in 2012. But he had this website, and I'm trying to rebuild the website actually because there's so much good information, but there's like hundreds of thousands of pages, and it's kind of hard. So I want to bring his work back to the table because this definitely comes through my work. And but I shared a quote in my book at the very beginning of the book, but it's a quote by Patrick Cook, who had BibleUFO.com. And this is what he says. He says, witches, wizards, sorcery, evil and unclean spirits, devils, ghosts, demonic possessions and exorcisms, conjuring up and raising the dead, divination, trances, astrology, oracles, enchantments, supernatural healing, superhuman strength, giants, dragons, and unicorns are but a few of the many instances of paranormal phenomena found in the Bible. Some of the lesser known anomalies in Scripture are levitation, astral projection, clairvoyance, psychokinesis, telepathy, metamorphosis, glossalia, behemoths, satyrs, cockatrices, flying fiery serpents, which is a good one that I love, which is the seraphim, and gigantic and terrifying fire-breathing, smoke-snorting, stone-hearted, indestructible, amphibious sea monsters. This research work is intended to provide the evidence that not all of these paranormal anomalies are properly understood or completely misrepresented by the church and mainstream thought. There has long been a gulf between the church's portrayal of these seemingly unnatural things and the beliefs of many others outside of the sphere of dogmatic interpretation. And that was a quote by Patrick Cook that was on his website years ago that really just kind of like, wow. All of this stuff is in the scriptures, and for me, it makes the Bible seem a lot more interesting. And then there's just people who think that all of this stuff is outside of the realm of the Bible, or maybe the ones who would say, yeah, that stuff's in there, but the Bible condemns it. And then here's another look from very much a Patrick Cook perspective, and mine is the fact that no, the Bible is for a lot of this stuff. You know, all of these supernatural encounters and beings and ghosts and goblins and demons and fairies and elementals. And there's so much more that wasn't even mentioned in that glossary of terms. And so I want to dive into that a little bit today. Did Jesus teach on demonology? Because there's this notion again that it's only Jesus. Some of the stuff's been made fun of. I've been in church services where we're talking about deliverance and like kind of things that happen after the cross. Like all you need to do is come to the cross and everything's good. Just come to church, get plugged in, keep coming, you'll be good. Well, there's like some inner sanctification work that has to be done. You have to like kind of walk it out. You have to pick up your cross daily and follow him. And you have to die daily. Like that's something there's something that you must do. It's required of you. You don't just get saved or whatever, and then everything's good. See, that's the misconception. And that's one of the big turnoffs for a lot of people in Christianity, is that other people see as like they don't do the inner work. It's really much so about the sanctification process and really understanding that. And Jesus talked about all that stuff. Demons, spirits. Did Jesus mention it? People think that like Jesus went around and just touched people or prayed or whatever and they was gone. There were instances where Jesus commanded the demons to talk. Like he communicated with the demons through people. He understood that person was a channel and said, hey, what's your name? And he's not talking to the person. He's talking to the spirit that's within that person, controlling them, eating off of their auric field, all of this kind of stuff, right? So he's talking to the spirits within them, making them tell him their name, and hence so their name kind of reveals their identity, right? That's what your name is, your identity and your character, calling them forth by name and rebuking them, making them come out of the person. There were other times in Matthew chapter 12, which is really beautiful. Like Jesus gives you this whole lecture on the course of demons, unclean spirits, when they leave a body, when they leave a person. What happens to them? Where do they go? I've heard preachers try to cast out demons and say, you go to the pit. Go to the pit right now. I'll send you. I curse you to the pit, devil. And they'll try to, but no, they don't go to the pit. They have legal ground, first of all, to be in that vehicle, that person, and then they have legal ground to do what they're supposed to do in the ethers for a time. So, like, where do they go? So Jesus told us where they go. When an unclean spirit, or what we would call a demon, is cast out of a person, it goes out seeking. It goes out into dry places, and it seeks 7 other spirits stronger than itself to come back to the home, to come back to the vehicle, to come back to the host, to come back to the body. And when it gets 7 other spirits stronger than itself, it comes back to check and see if it can get back in. And as it says, when it comes back, if it finds the house, which is you, the person, swept clean and things are in order, there's no more legal ground, there's no more dwelling place for that entity to live within your auric field, to live within your psyche, as if there's no more room for it to be there, then it goes and it leaves, because it has no place to live. And Jesus kind of talks about that. So he gives us the course of these entities and what happens. This is in a whole instance where someone's mentioning here in the chat saying that Jesus was a magician, that he was performing magic. Christians hate that term. You know, when I talk about white magic, Jesus was a white magician. He used spirituality. He used the elements. He used a lot of different things to go about doing good. And this is greater things that we can do. We copy and learn what he did and using this stuff for good. It's called white magic. Now, people are scared of that term. You know, that's probably because of the movies and Hollywood and things like that. But really, when in the true essence of the term, Jesus was performing white magic. Really goes into a lot of detail in that. If you want to learn, Manly P. Hall has a book called Magic, White, Gray, and Black, and it shows you the difference between the different forms of magic, of neutral magic, of elemental magic, and really black magic is performing hexes and trying to manipulate people. All of it's dealing with manipulation. But there's going to be the good manipulation to help the masses, to help people to go about doing good. And there's going to be the dark sorcery to manipulate people, to get what you want out of them, to lie, to bend the truth, and to really deal with the elements, to twist it to get what you want. And there's a lot of that. Some of the greatest black magicians of our time are in the churches. They're master deceivers. They're master manipulators. and they've built huge platforms because they understand the psyche. They understand how to get over on people, how to keep people hanging on by the edge of their seat, to continue to shake money out of you. Not, hey, this is a good ministry, we ask you to give, but they'll shake it out of you. They'll manipulate money out of you. Some of the greatest, and then spirituality gets into play, your eternal salvation. Lord, I'm going to stop. That's not where I was going. But some of the greatest magicians, black magicians, are in your church. And they wear the title of pastor, preacher, deacon, bishop, all of these guys. I'm telling you, if we're looking at the true essence of what magic and sorcery is, it's manipulation. It's manipulation is what it is. Getting back to the point, Jesus, speaking on demonology, Jesus was accused of being, you could say, a witch. He was accused of being a sorcerer even, right? So, because he was casting demons out of people, and they were like, hey, the only way you can cast demons out of people is if you're in bed with the demons and they only listen to you. And there's just some weird accusations that was made towards him. And there's a lot of, I've heard like Christians make weird assumptions like that too. It's kind of weird, like far out people. But he said, no, he said, listen, you all know Solomon. There is one who is greater than Solomon standing before you right now, and you don't even know it. How can Satan cast out Satan? A kingdom divided against itself shall not stand. So he's like, well, how am I going about doing good works, healing people, encouraging people to do good, encouraging people to be free, right? That's counterproductive for Satan or a demonic system. It doesn't function. A business, a kingdom does not function like that. Satan cannot cast out Satan. But he gives mention to Solomon as being one of the greatest magicians, one of the greatest sorcerers, to being one of the greatest in demonology. If you go back and read the Testament of Solomon, you'll understand what most of us know in the church because it's been preached in sermons or seen in movies, and it's definitely throughout video games and lore. His name, the seal of Solomon, the ring of Solomon, that has power. It's a magical sigil, if you will. It's the 5-pointed star. Many people think it's the 6-pointed star, the hexagram, but it's really the pentagram that Solomon was given. And that goes into detail in the Testament of Solomon. But Jesus kind of gives some credence to, hey, when we're talking about casting out of demons, having authority and power over these demons, he says, look, you got one greater than Solomon standing with you. Y'all believe Solomon, why not me? Right? So essentially what he's saying. So he gives some credence there to this whole Solomonic magic, or a lot of people say, Solomon, when he kind of made these covenants with other gods, that's when, he went on the wrong path. But he was doing a lot of that stuff before he made sacrifices unto Moloch. And then Testament of Solomon goes into there. Now there's Keys of Solomon, there's Wisdom of Solomon, there's a bunch of other stuff as well. Most of this stuff was even in the Bible in the 1600s. It's in the 1611 King James, the Wisdom of Solomon. And there's a lot more books that were in your original Bible. Going back to the demonology, like the King James Bible, King James, who had the Bible of what we know today put together, he had another book that was very popular. And it was a book about demonology. I've not read it. I've tried to read it. Some of the Old English is really hard to read, but King James is noted for having a book that you can get now. You can find manuscripts online and get the book off of Amazon. Type in King James Demonology. He's got a book on demonology. So all of that stuff. And then Jesus again not only tells us how these demons operate. We see, like in the Gospels, like I would say 90% of his ministry was going about casting out demons, and he would converse with them. He would have authority. He would teach the disciples, all of this kind of stuff. And then we also see Jesus call out the prince of demons by name. The prince of demon. Jesus called him by name. So there's this thing where people say you don't need to learn the name of demons, you don't need to know this, and all you need is Jesus. Jesus gave us examples. Like he gave you the example to follow. He understood how these spirits operated. And then he calls them out by name. Which one? He calls out Beelzebub, the prince of demons. Beelzebub by name. That name is only mentioned one time in the Bible, and it's when Jesus says it, to find out who he's talking about. Like, if you don't know, like most Christians, most church doctrine believe that that's Satan. Like Beelzebub is another name for Satan because he's the prince of demons. No, that's a whole nother entity in general. If you want to learn more about it, go again into the Testament of Solomon, which goes into a lot more detail on these demons and their names and their rankings and the angels that bind them and the planets that they're bound to. Like, there are certain portals that are opened up when the stars align in certain ways and the planets align. It opens up for seasons and signs and angels who get access to you on the earth. And they bring in the seasons. A lot of them, like, they're not all wicked, like all these spirits. They have an operation. They have things that they were created to do. They were created beings. Some of them left their first habitation. Those are the wicked spirits who were expelled, who, since they left heaven, they couldn't go back. I go into detail about that in the book. That's mentioned of in Genesis 6 and all throughout the scriptures, and the angels lusting over women and the beauty and power of the hair that entices these angels. I don't know why. Something magical about a woman's hair that they're attracted to. I go into detail and all of that stuff. So to say that we don't need demonology and Jesus didn't teach it, they taught so much more. They taught demonology, clairvoyance, divination, all of these things which are within the Bible. Like, you don't even have to go to some of these outside books. But these books were once accepted by the early church. And that's what I want. I want to go back to it and say, hold on, why did y'all take this out? Well, there were some things that we didn't believe anymore. And no. I want to know what they knew. Because what y'all have now is a cheap imitation, right? If we're going back to the essence of the ancient path and understanding the spiritual walk and the spiritual path that they walked, you guys are, no, this isn't it. We hear about Christianity and we look at religion of today. It does not resemble it at all. So my heart is to go back to some of these early books that they had, and there's so much more. There's so much more. Jesus, again, he had so much more that he wanted to share, but they just wasn't ready. They just wasn't ready. And his disciples, there was some that he would share, 30% of his heart with, some 60, some 90, some 100-fold. And it's those who wanted the information. They wanted the esoteric wisdom. That's not a bad word. Esoteric and occult, those aren't bad words. The word esoteric just means truth for a few. It's not for you. You're not going to get it. It is esoteric to you. But there's other people who ask for it and they understand. The word occult simply means hidden. It's a Latin word meaning hidden. Hidden knowledge. Yes. Jesus taught occult wisdom. Jesus taught secret knowledge. Who is it secret for? Because Jesus also goes on to say, look, I've hidden nothing from you. I've shown you everything openly, but it was for you to pursue it. To them who ask, to them who knock, to them who seek, to them who go into their prayer chambers, close the door, it will be given unto you. He will download the information to you supernaturally. You'll get it through wisdom from others, from peers, from people who have been up those mountains and come down, just like Moses went up to the mountain and seen God face to face and came down and his aura was glowing. He came down, he had a message, right? It's still today. If you go away, Jeremiah 33:3, call unto me, I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know and cannot find out. It's truth for a few. For the few who seek it. That's the only prerequisite for this information. It's not privy for the leaders or a bloodline or anything. It's for those who seek it. And you have to seek it. You have to be diligent. You have to be faithful with the information. You have to do the inner work. And all of us are on this path. This is a spiritual school, a spiritual mystery school, as Greg Braden says, that we're all within spiritually. and there's sanctification process. There's tests, there's trials, there's testings, there's pop quizzes. You have to retake a test that you passed 6 years ago, and you have to take that test again in the spirit. Coming back up, those things. Yep, it's all there. So to say that Jesus did not teach demonology, man, and it's big because I remember for me, we used to go to Teen Challenge, and they used to want us to come there and rap and kind of share our testimonies and stuff. And Teen Challenge was where, like, it's still today, but a lot of people dealing with drugs, a lot of drug addicts, people who are addicted to all types of drugs, heroin, methamphetamine, crack cocaine, alcoholics. Like, all of these people were in this like Christian rehab, trying to get back on their feet. Some of them are like court appointed to be like an outpatient program to go to. But a lot of them were trying to overcome. And we would go there and we would rap and we would share our stories. And then I would talk about demons, man. Like, that's just my thing, man. I came out of it. I know a lot of stuff about it. It's my heartbeat. I could talk about more, but the demon thing obviously is near and dear to my heart. So I would talk to them about walking in freedom and things like that. And then, like, after we left, someone talked to one of the other guys who was with me and said, "Hey, Ed, you guys need to lay off of the demon stuff so much. I don't think these guys are ready for the demon stuff. They have to kind of graduate and go to a higher level to like graduate to hear about demons." And it's like, hold on. If you're dealing with heroin addiction, methamphetamines, the spirit realm is not that far from you. You are dealing with demonic influence, pharmakia, witchcraft, and sorcery. Guess what comes along with that, people? Demons. Pharmakia, witchcraft, and sorcery. Like mixing up magic potions, chemistry. What do you think methamphetamine and crack cocaine is? They put all types of crazy stuff in that stuff, like bathroom cleaners and all kind of. It's demonic. It opens up portals in your mind. It burns your brain cells out. It's demonic possession. I've seen people who have spent years in that, on these binges and mixing up, and they'll tell you, I was like a witch in the woods mixing up a magic potion that I was going to sell to people, and it will put them all under a strong delusion. I've seen these people have spirits on them, and they'll come to church bugged out of their mind. They receive prayer and healing, and demons are cast off of them and out of them. They come back the next day. They can look you in the eye. They're able to have conversations with you. But then they say, don't talk about demons, because they're just not ready. That's crazy. 90% of Jesus's ministry was dealing with demons. Man, you guys are going off in the chat today. Shout out to everybody. Hey, the phone lines are open. Like, I've tried to utilize this feature again. The phone lines are open. The number is 605-562-0444. It's on the screen. Show ID is 78643. If you got a question, a comment, you want to join the conversation, please call in, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Realm Renegade says, wholeness and most powerful vibrations, tribe and family. TruthSeekah, what's good, brother? It's been a minute. I'll call in. Good, brother, I'd love to hear from you, man. We need to do another episode. We did a really good episode, man. Good to see you in chat. Let's see, we're also streaming on other platforms right now. We're streaming on DLive, which is a new program that we're trying to check out. A buddy of mine shared it in the Discord yesterday, so I said, you know what, let's try it out. Streaming on Twitch, all of these cool programs. Facebook, there's a lot of people listening right now live, and people listening on the podcasting apps is where we get the most traffic from. I don't get to interact with you in real time, but it's really cool when people come from the podcast and say, you know, I want to catch a live episode, and they join us here on the stream. So shout out to all the new listeners that we have within the last 2 months or so. I don't know what happened. I don't know if someone shared the podcast. I really don't know. But the numbers have doubled. Like, it was crazy. I don't know why, but shout out to all the new listeners that we have
started
on the podcast. That was weird. I just heard something. Let's see. Here we go. We have a caller from the 814. Caller, who we speaking with?
Hey, what's up, Truth? Hey, it's Dorian, a.k.a. the Realm Renegade.
Man, how have you been, bro?
Hey man, I've been actually amazing. It's been a long time since I've been in the digital frequencies. I took a hiatus. I had to take a little digital detox.
Yeah.
I think that there's something synchronistic happening right now, just for the simple fact that the subject matter that you're discussing on right now is something that I had actually experienced about a week and a half ago. Which I definitely would love to talk about that. But first, bro, I would like to congratulate you on your release of your book. That's phenomenal. That's amazing, brother. So congrats on that.
Yeah, man. Hard work pays off, bro. It took a long time. But, as long as you're consistent, man, you know what I'm saying? All things are possible, right?
That's right. I know you've been grinding, brother. So that's amazing. But yeah, I took 1 year. It's been 1 year and 1 week. I've taken off from the digital frequencies. So that was Instagram. I've been off Facebook since 2011, but Instagram, I've been off for a year. YouTube, all of that. I've been off, just really recentering myself, still engaging in my daily practices and whatnot, but just trying to be present and regain connection to my true self instead of my digital self. But I am gonna probably jump back into the digital frequencies and get back on to becoming active and everything like that. But I'm currently working right now, and I just jumped on. First thing that popped up was your podcast, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let me jump on." And I've been listening the past few minutes with you, talking on the subject matter with the demonology and everything like that. And most definitely, like I said, I had an experience that I would like to probably share with you and the tribe and family that's all listening.
Yeah, if you want to do it now, or you want to schedule an episode, brother, you just let me know, man. You family.
Most definitely. I would love to schedule an episode with you. When we get up, we always dive deep. But, this will just be quick just to kind of jump on the subject matter of what you're talking about. This was about 2 weeks ago. I do engage in some things that maybe some of your listeners might not like or
I wouldn't say that, man. We got a huge eclectic audience, man. So don't feel that way.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Well, I do engage in reading tarot cards. I read not only for myself, but I read others as well when I feel called to do so. Typically, I carry a deck of tarot cards around, and I also engage in other types of things like yoga, kundalini, hatha, ashtanga, a lot of energy work, breath work, those types of things, which, obviously, can get you into altered states of consciousness and open you up and take your consciousness to different places that you engage with other types of energies and entities and things like that. And if you become familiar in those types of realms, you may even become familiar with some of those energies that seem familiar and may make a friend themselves or communicate. Yeah, exactly. So 2 weeks ago, I don't know what I was engaged with or what had invited this particular energy to take over. However, I was sitting on my bed, I was reading, and all of a sudden I felt the hairs like on the back of my neck and, just around my body. I could feel that an electric tingle, and I could feel the hairs kind of stick up like there was higher electricity or static electricity around me. And all of a sudden I had an awareness. This is something that I couldn't see, but I had an awareness to that something was there. And what started happening is I felt as if it was trying to enter into my body through my anahata, the heart chakra. That's where I felt that it was that type of particular energy was trying to enter. Now, like I said, I couldn't see this physically, but I had the sense of an awareness that that's what was happening. And I was then able to pick up on, just like we could pick up on the voice inside of our head, I could pick up on a different voice that was different than the voices inside of my head. And the voice was saying that it wanted to gain access, that it wanted to get in. And I felt as if it was trying to come in through the anahata, and I was resistant to it because the energy did not feel right. It felt extremely foreign, and it felt the only word that I could say or use to describe it is it felt evil. And I felt as if it wanted to enter or use my body as a host for nefarious reasons. And so I was resistant to allowing it to come in. And as I gave that resistance, it then started, it seemed or felt as if it took my arm and started twisting my arm back and behind me and started twisting my neck over to the left side. And so it was almost like an attack. And I started sweating. Yeah. And I started saying, I think I'm being attacked. I think I'm being attacked. And I couldn't relieve the energy. And just for, the simple fact that you're having this type of conversation and whatnot, the only thing that I could think of, just for, my biblical knowledge and everything like that from the past and everything like that, the only thing that I could think of was saying the name. I said, Yadve Hadve. And immediately, because I was kind of like laying down on my bed at the time as it was like twisting my arm and my neck, I said, Yadve Hadve. Immediately, I didn't do it. I sat straight up. It was like forcefully sat straight up, and the energy was gone. Wow. And it felt as if the atmosphere or the room, that electricity and whatnot, had subsided. So wild experience that I had there. But the simple fact that you're talking about those things, I definitely feel that particular type of an energy or that energetical force was, probably with what I've been experienced too, and the different types of states that I go into and whatnot. I would say that was, I felt as if it was demonic for sure.
Man, I got so many questions, bro. This is a full episode. Most definitely. Man. What were you doing? What practices were you doing? Were you doing yoga? Were you chanting? Were you using hallucinogens? Like, what were you doing that kind of engaged that encounter?
Well, that's the thing, because I don't think that I had brought in anything new to my practice as far as the types of things that I do. The practices that I do on the daily, Ashtanga yoga, I do breath work. And the only thing that I can think of is maybe the particular type of breath work that I've been doing the past maybe 2 months. I've kind of switched up my breath work, or I've gotten deeper into my breath work because, when you start getting into meditation, you start getting into your spiritual practices and everything like that, it's consistency. And the consistency will bring you into deeper states. The more that you get used to it, the more that you're able to get comfortable in those states, kind of allow the mind to not be cluttered with all different types of chatter and whatnot that will bring you out of, say, a meditative state, or if you're accessing the ethereal realm. And I would say the only thing that had changed, if I'm really trying to think about it, is maybe just a new or a few different breathing techniques that I had switched up that were allowing me to, forcefully get into those states. Plus, my yoga practice as well as excelled as well, because I'm about three years in of, daily practice and whatnot. So, when I get into meditative states, it doesn't take me a long time now. I can get in fairly quickly. I can access, different states in what I would consider the ethereal realm. I can access those pretty quickly. So I really can't say, though, what had brought that in or what had brought that on. I don't know. Maybe it was just you had mentioned it as well, where you have different alignments of different times of the year that allow different types of energies to come in, different portals, different types of electromagnetic frequencies, due to the alignment of, the stars or the lights that we see in the sky. So it was definitely a wild experience, but I really can't say I can put a finger on what I was doing or what I had done to maybe invoke or invite that type of an energy in.
There's a comment here from Noel, and Noel says, it says, if you awaken the light within someone else, you will get attacked. And then they also say that sometimes it has nothing to do with you, but who you influenced to Jesus or to do good.
And that does strike resonance with me, because the simple fact that she said that, brought a lot of visions into my mind in regards to my practices. And, I'm a conscious coach as well. So I do help many individuals in regards to, spirituality, different types of breath work, self-mastery, and especially the past, I would say, month and a half or 2 months, I've brought on a few new clients, and that could very well be. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be so much, man. Again, this is like a whole, this is the cool thing about this podcast. I can't say, yep, it was a demon and they showed up because of you did this ungodly practice, right? We can explore it a little bit, because you've had beautiful encounters doing these practices and things as well, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, I've had encounters that have helped me. I've had I really rarely have encounters or feelings or types of energies that I would say
negative
are threatening, or negative. Typically I don't allow myself to be opened up to negative frequencies or what I would consider lower vibrational entities. I keep my body in a state of high alkalinity and high pH as well, which, if you're keeping the body in lower states of pH,
vibration and density,
this is leaving your body susceptible. That's right. The lower your vibration, the lower the amount of electricity you have coming in, the more susceptible you are to allowing lower vibrational entities that manifest themselves around death and decay to manifest themselves inside of your body. We've talked about that before, i.e., parasites and things like that. That
for sure.
Definitely, you're leaving your body a portal for those energies and entities to come in.
Yeah. One of the Kabbalistic understandings is this, like, as you ascend into the heavenly realms. Now, I know the Bible talks about this from like almost like a physical or etheric plane that we ascend to, like actually into outer space and in the heavens. But spiritually, as you're doing the inner work, progressing through these levels, getting better at what you do, that you have to face these different entities who are like guarding over different places. I mean, in the scriptures, it would be like showing the Israelites moving from one land to the next as they were trying to find the promised land. And when they seen the promised land, which was the land flowing with milk and honey, there were giants there. There were enemies there, and it looked like they couldn't get through. So the Kabbalistic understanding is that there's different angels that you must face, that you must prove yourself to get past, to get into these different levels of density and vibrational frequency. Again, like I'm with you, I don't really face a lot of the lower level demonic entities anymore, because I'm not doing stupid lower level stuff. You know what I'm saying? But if I do, then I would open myself up to those attacks and frequencies. But again, the more people that we help, some of these entities get mad. Because you're helping people, so
for sure.
you could have been visited by a spirit or an entity that you removed off of someone else, just trying to scare you. They can't really do anything to you. They just kind of scare you. Even though it was a different energy and stuff like that, it could scare you. I've had beautiful euphoric encounters with God or the Holy Spirit to where like I was contorting and doing some of that kind of stuff, was violently shaking, but it was the energy moving through my body, and your body reacts to it a certain type of way, but it felt good. So just because there's like jerking and twitching and stuff like that, was that the first time you've ever had that, or have you ever had that beautiful energy, the pranayama, the Holy Spirit pulsating through your body to where you're shaking or crying and jerking and things like that?
Oh, most definitely. Pretty much.
Because you're deep into the yoga, man. You're like really advanced into what you do.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I would say anytime that I've really had any type of an encounter or anything that I would perceive as an encounter, there's always some sort of shaking or sweating and everything like that coming back out of it.
Yeah.
Even if coming out of it was within a second, here third dimensionally, but there, etherically, that there's no time, but that time could be perceived based upon what the interaction was or what you've received as downloads and everything like that. It could seem very long. It could seem like years. I've had an experience that I can honestly say I was there for what I perceived as, over 1,000 years. But here in the third dimension, that was, within 100th of a second long. But always, anytime that I've ever had any type of an encounter, whether even if it's, positive and just a beautiful type of experience, or just being around that type of a frequency, come back out either, shaking. It seems like I have a lot of electricity riding through my body, sometimes just an extreme amount of sweat. And that amount of sweat is beyond profusely sweating. It's almost as if I literally had jumped into a pool, and then, it's drenched. But yeah, even if it's positive, I still experience, those types of things. But I've never experienced it where it was like violent, where I felt that my body was contorting in a way
break something
that
or something,
if I allowed it to continue, something's gonna break.
Yeah,
I've heard
I've heard of some of those Kundalini experiences that are just like people like got put in a hospital and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like spontaneous awakening that now I felt energy and vibration and shake and contort, but not like that. I've never had there's some crazy stuff. Like people doing just ungodly back bends and neck top of the
right.
touching
it's
their
called
back.
Catalepsy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Nope, it's called catalepsy. And that was the first time that I had. I don't know if I could consider what had happened, me being in a state of catalepsy, but it was definitely enough that I couldn't, or in my awareness, in my consciousness, I couldn't fight how it was contorting me. I couldn't correct it. It was overpowering me, and if it would have continued, my shoulder, my wrist, and my neck would have been broken, because it was happening pretty quickly, but it got to that point where I didn't know what else to do or anything else. I was overpowering me. Yeah. So, the only thing that I knew was, to say the name. And, yeah, I've never really done that before, just said the name out loud, that ones would say Yahweh, but, the true tongue of it is the Yadve Hadve. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I said that, I kid you not, it left, vanished immediately, and I sat right up. I'm not out here being like, praises to Jesus or anything like that in regards to that. But, I have known, because I don't know.
You should explore it more, dude. Know. You should explore it more. You should start with that. You should start with that chant. Bro, you can chant that. You can chant that name and chant and just tap into that beautiful vibration, man. Because it's the highest it's the highest form of love, dude. You know what I'm saying? And really start it with that, dude. You should try it. It's so good. It's so beautiful, man.
Yeah, most definitely. And, there's definitely a certain vibrational tone to that particular name. And there's
especially
a reason
with
why
the heart.
that
Especially
name
with
is sacred.
the heart space. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yep. And
interesting, bro.
when you're doing particular types of chants, mantras, prayers, hymns, anything like that, the way that you're supposed to do it is you're supposed to be doing that in a meditative state from the anahata, from the heart chakra, because your heart that chakra is the one that creates the vibratory tone throughout your whole body. That's the catalyst to your auric field is your heart. That's what's creating your vibration. And so when you're in that a meditative state, meaning you're able to manipulate or change the frequency or your frequency output, and you're able to do that, you have dominion over your own body, that you know how to go within, and just the same as flexing your muscles on the outside, flexing your biceps and everything like that. We all see everybody on the social media being able to do all that perfectly, but a lot of people don't know how to flex the muscles and the endocrine systems on the insides, which the endocrine systems are the chakra systems. And those are the glands that are responsible for releasing electromagnetic fluid through the body. And, when you're flexing your heart properly, you're able to change your vibratory tone. And when you're saying hymns with that as well, you're now bringing in the sixth chakra, your throat chakra, and ultimately trying to gain seventh chakra activation to ignite your antenna to jump into the ethereal realm.
Yeah. Man, dude, I'm gonna get you back on the podcast, bro.
A wake-up call to me. Oh, most definitely. I'm gonna reach out to you because I would definitely love to jump on with you, man. Just explore some subjects, dive deep with you. I think that we always have good subject matter to jump on, and your fans and the tribe. It definitely resonates with a lot of people for sure. I had a lot of people always reaching out to me after the last show I was on with you as well. So we definitely need to do that for sure.
Yeah, man. Hey, do you remember the band Emery?
Yes.
They're doing a reunion from the first album. They're coming to Pensacola. I'm gonna go see them in Hawthorne Heights.
Oh yeah.
I thought of you, man, because I know you're old school, hardcore.
Most definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, that's like the emo core days, but hey, I'm still about it.
Heck yeah.
When is that?
It's in Pensacola. That's going to be February. January 16th or something like that, middle of January.
Okay. I'm going to take a look because if I can, I'll definitely try to make the trip over there, man, and link up with you in person, That'd be awesome,
man. For sure. Good to hear from you, my brother.
Sure. Hey, I don't want to I don't want to take up too much of your show, man. I just want to give massive respects to you. Congratulations on releasing the book. I'm actually going to pick it up as well. So I'll probably end up purchasing this here your book in a little bit. So, dude, I'm so pumped for you, and I can't wait. Let's connect, and we'll set something up so that we can have a proper show and just go in.
Yeah, and we'll talk off the air too, man. Get up with me.
Yes, most definitely. We'll do.
All right, brother. Good to hear from you, Dorian.
All right, brother.
Shalom.
Yes,
peace.
most definitely. Wholeness.
Dorian, Realm Renegade. We did a really awesome show back in the day. If you guys browse the archives, you can check it out. Got a lot of callers here lined up. Open up the phone lines and seeing what's going on. So people are saying they're having problems calling in. Again, the number is 605-562-0444. The show ID is 78643. And then I think it asks for a PIN. The PIN doesn't really matter, but the show ID is 78643. So let's see. Got a bunch of questions and comments going on right here in the chat too. Shout out to everybody holding us down. Amanda says she's on the line. Who else we got on the line? We got my brother Martin's on the line. I don't know the order. It doesn't show the order, but I'm going to try to jump to some of these other callers here. We got a, let's see here. How do I unmute you? Caller from the 206, is it? 206, who we speaking with?
Hello.
Hello. What's up, man? I know who this is by the voice.
Hello, TruthSeekah. It's Richie. How are you today?
What's going on, man? How are you doing?
We're doing really well. I'm interested by your topic, and I'm grateful that you're choosing to unpack this information today, so thank you.
Oh, for sure, man. Would you have anything to add to it or any questions about it?
Quite a whole lot, actually. I'm going to see if I can try to make sense. I'm going to go backwards from the previous caller because the person who you were just speaking with had some really cool insights that I think would be neat to touch on. I think that beliefs should remain flexible rather than people flexing their beliefs. Because I've interacted with a lot of people in occult or spiritual circles, even like in Christian or Gnostic circles, that say this is their belief and they're very firm. And they're not being like a slinky, like flexible. They're not learning to see things from other vantage points and entertaining the fact that maybe they don't already have the whole truth.
Yeah. Agree.
So to me, that kind of flexibility is often connected when people are flexible inside of their mind in something. They can not want to be flexible in their beliefs. And if you help somebody become flexible, you might somehow inherit their tension, if that connects the dot.
Yeah, I think that's what, I think that you've properly described this podcast.
Dang. Lord, I
being
appreciate
flexible.
it. I'd say that the amount of
open and being able to look into anything, still having your own beliefs, right? Having your own kind of foundation, but being open to look into other realms, right?
Truth. And also the perspective of occupying that narrative with integrity. Like, you know your beliefs, but you can like be a person of integrity when you're listening to somebody else's beliefs and not immediately shoot them down and say that their beliefs are wrong or insist that they must conform to yours. Yeah. And I think from a lot of the guests that you've had, it's allowed me to like not insulate, but like expand my perception, because I would have never thought to wonder what the mom from ET is up to. But now I know, like there's a whole bunch of different opportunities that you've made. And I think it's really great that you're continuing to create such a solid platform for that, including the text that you wrote. So it's a wonderful book. I'm about halfway through it right now, and I'll just keep diving forward with a couple more notes if that's cool.
Heck yeah, man.
So the name and the vibration, I know that goes super deep. I haven't found any mystery system that doesn't acknowledge the sound having some kind of magical or mythical energy. So when I think about using sacred names, I kind of think about it like we're using our own sacred nickname. So when people are making a prayer, does that make sense? They're kind of calling a higher form of self that has this name, but we're still all connected in that sort of consciousness.
Oh, yeah, and what's revealed to you? Like, you can't call on something that's not revealed to you, right? So there's an idea that goes along with that name too, right?
True, definitely. And that really smoothly segues into the idea of levels of belief, because there's a level of belief where people think names don't mean anything. And then as you sort of expand your beliefs, you see that names, maybe those are important, you know?
Yeah, their vibrations and their characters, you know, they're highly important. Like I unknowingly grew into my name. You know what I'm saying? Like even the name TruthSeekah, like grew into it for real. Just thought it was one thing and just embodied it. And because I would sign autographs with that, I would introduce myself by that name, and then, you know, your name is your character, and you become the TruthSeekah. You know what I'm saying? And so, whatever you call in, it's not what other people call you. It's what you respond to. You know what I'm saying? And that's the name and the character and the vibration that you walk in, and you find that in others. And whether it comes in the form of deities, there's aspects. I mean, the whole thing with where he was talking about the sacred name of God. Yod Hey Vad Hey, there's different ways to pronounce it. Like even that is broken off into 70 names or many other different names, right? The 72 names of God. And there's different like characteristics of that name. And there's so many characteristics of the name of God, but then so many characteristics of our name and who we are. And this aspect, you may know me as the TruthSeekah. You don't know me as the lover. You don't know me as the Father, right? And it's just different ways that we encounter God. That's that same way. Or whatever we call God, right? We know him as, again, the Father. We know him as the Mother. We know him as the Jehovah Jireh, the provider, whatever. There's these different aspects. And some people, whether it's through research and then gnosis of practical experiences, you know him, or it, whatever, I just say him for me, in deeper levels that other people aren't privy to because they've never experienced that.
Right. It's almost as though there's an opportunity to get to know that greater force through its works.
In a more intimate way, again, going back to Jesus with his disciples, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold. You only know me as in passing. You only know me because you see me on the internet. You know what I'm saying? You don't know this side of me or whatever. And the same thing with God and with people and relationships and religion and all of this stuff. I think we should approach it all. That's that openness of in the exploration. Like, how arrogant is it to think that we have God figured out? Like, you know, we have it all figured out. We only know this one aspect or this one like perspective of what we call God or spirituality, right?
True. And I see that there's a level of respect that's brought in, because if you're respecting yourself enough to know that you may not know something, all new information you're going to treat with that modicum of respect. Like, that's a standard. But if you don't have that level of respect for not only your beliefs, but other people around you, it may be hard to deliver that externally. I realized something, like, I personally found an instance where it was wise for me in a narrative to accept the term guru as a useful term. And I use this thing called the grandmother rule. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I don't think so.
But the grandmother rule for gurus is that a guru is like a grandmother. Just because they're their guru doesn't mean they're my guru.
Okay.
So to me, the grandmother rule is just because somebody's one's grandmother doesn't mean that they're your grandmother. I mean, you still want to treat all elders and grandparents well, but if someone is giving you really strict and specific instructions that you don't agree with, it's important to kind of trace that source and make sure it's coming from who you want to be listening to, rather than just somebody who kind of appears like who you should be listening to.
Yeah. That was one of the things that really I heard early on, like in the early 2000s, working with prison inmates who were really big into Islam and the 5%ers, is they would say that it was like one of their tenets to respect every holy man and to respect Jesus and to respect Moses and these other teachers who are, now they don't necessarily follow them or agree with them or anything like that, but they respected them. There was a level of respect that they had for all of these different teachers and holy men, right? And so that was the first time I heard something like that, because like in most religions, there's a form of disrespect there, right? There's a form of disrespect because their way is the only way and Jesus is the only way. So anybody who compares to him on a level or who claims to be a teacher or a holy man, then they're trying to steal his light or steal his glory and being some type of guru. But essentially, in a sense, even Jesus raised up other gurus under himself, right?
Totally. It would be a recognition and an identification in my mind of the purity of message. Like, if you are truly a person of faith, you understand that other people of faith, they're like in the same lane as you. They might not be taking all the same turns and like making all the same adjustments, but they're still from the cohesive understanding that there's more to life than this critter that we have. Like, our 10 fingers and 10 toes aren't where our world stops.
Yeah. I always joke around with Illuminati Congo, John Hooks, and I'm like, man, you're my guru, bro. Everybody check out my guru, John Hooks. And he's like, brother, in order for me to be your guru, you have to be my guru as well. I'm just like, salute, man.
Naga, totally. That's super rad. Very sweet. I always love when you are collaborating with his specific works, because I think you're both approaching it from separate sides of the circular table, and it's really wonderful to hear that musical expression.
Man, my gratitude for that dude is like out the window, man, out the roof. Like, he's super to me. I love that guy.
Sure, for sure. Bless. I wanted to throw in one more idea, just something that can be jotted down maybe for further inquiry.
For sure.
But I don't know if you've heard the term Angelian.
Not by that pronunciation.
For sure. It's propagated right now by this dude named Pierre Sabak. So Pierre Sabak writes a lot about like holographic reality, and I've checked out a few of his works lately. Angelian would be a fusion between the term angel and alien into one thing. So it's a pretty solid direction. There's a project called Secret Energy and a guy named Seven Bomar that does a lot of podcasts and a lot of information. And this is one of the texts that I've discerned out of it. Came up in conversation about Jordan Maxwell the other day, so I wanted to make sure to throw that on your table. But again, many thanks for taking the time to not only put the pen to the paper and make the text and book happen, but also to do the continuous broadcast and keep the Patreon alive. Much love. Bless.
For sure, man. Thank you for all the support, brother. Hopefully I see you tonight, man. School of the Mystics, 7 p.m. Central.
Ooh, I'll keep it tuned in. Take care. Shalom.
For sure, brother. Shalom, shalom. Peace. Richie, good brother. Man, that's interesting. The combination of an angel and an alien, right? One in the same breath. I think so. Another caller here. We're going to jump to the 918 area code. Caller, who we speaking with?
Hey, it's Amanda from the 918.
What up? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You got anything to add or questions or anything with this conversation?
Yeah, I really enjoyed, was it Dorian? Did I get that right? The guy before the last one?
Yep. Rum Renegade, Dorian. I got an episode with him that went really deep. You should check it out. I'll share it with you.
I love it. You guys definitely showed some points that was stirring inside of me, and so I'm going to reference your book here on page.
Don't quote me on that.
50 through 52. No, it's the scripture, and then I had a question for you.
Right.
You were talking about the angels, spirits, and demons, and the fallen angels, and you quoted Jude 1:15 and 2 Peter 2:4-5, specifically Jude 1:15. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, "Behold, the Lord come with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him." And then referencing 2 Peter 2:4-5, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned, that cast them down to hell, and delivered them unto chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly." So my question here is, been running with a lot of trains of thought from different mystics and stuff, that we are in that time where if you say, "Here I am, Lord," that he'll send you out to judge these entities that are tormenting areas or people, and you're a part of the judgment. I was curious your take on, are we in that time? Do you believe that, or is that a time to come?
That's a very interesting question. I think a lot of that, when we get into where we are on a biblical timeline, I think that a lot of that, as far as like prophetically, has already happened. Matthew 24, I believe the majority, if not all of it, has already happened with a lot of that stuff. And then going into the judging of the angels, I'm with those mystics. I'm with what you're saying. Maybe there's a greater degree that's going to come. Maybe this is going to shift and be a little bit more ethereal. You know, this place where there is no more death, maybe where the New Jerusalem comes down. Maybe that's when we cross the Great Divide. Maybe that's when we pass into the next life, that there's this whole realm or just this level of ascension, determining like Earth being the school, and then it's determined where you go. If you're a teacher from beyond the grave, we know the great cloud of witnesses. You know, I cover that in the book. And some of these mystics and people who teach from beyond the grave, even in the Bible, right? Jesus was learning from Moses and Elijah that appeared to him at the Mount of Transfiguration, and then other mystics now, Christian mystics, who are saying they're meeting with their elders who, you know, they served in ministry 20 years ago, who are now passed on, who are appearing to them from beyond the grave, right? So maybe there's this pecking order or this sortation, if you will. Some people believe that you're reincarnated back into the earth, or I don't necessarily agree with that or believe it, but you know, I think that there's more to come. But the spiritual aspect to all of these ideas in Revelation, how it's all encoded. It's encoded, and I do think that we're living.
Right.
We're living out a lot of that stuff, and we think about this 1,000 years of peace and all of this 1,000, like, just to find out where we are, or at least how it relates to us now, right? Because a lot of that stuff has been fulfilled, and
Right.
most people aren't living in the reality. They're still looking for it to come. And if you're continuing to look for something to come, you're not in the present moment experiencing it, activated in it, and walking in it now, because you're looking for it to come. You know, Jesus is going to come back one day, so therefore we can't live our life like he's already come and sitting upon the thrones of our heart, right? And created a new person within us, and you know, giving us the light through the Holy Spirit. But I think by proxy, we're going to do a lot of those things, even whether it's consciously or subconscious. So the people who don't even believe it are doing it. They're judging angels. They're going into territories because they are that light which shines in the darkness. Right? No matter where you go, if you're shining that light, that darkness trembles, the darkness flees. Throughout your conversation, demons and chains and strongholds are being judged, bound, and loose, no matter where you go. So whether you believe in it or not, there is definitely some level to it where this whole song and dance that's going on, and we don't even know it. Right, we're judging the angels by our conversation. Now, there's just going to be different levels to it if you're conscious of it. If you come here, like, and it gets weird, it gets into some weird stuff, like, hey, we're going to come here, we're going to pray down the principality over the White House. And, you know, many people have been a part of things and continue to do those things. Do I think that it works? It hasn't. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it has. Like, going to the,
Well,
I mean,
that's a great. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking, like, well, you a beautiful point. You said the conscious and the subconscious of people has already been taken care of. But if you have a bunch of people that believe the same subconscious fallen reality that creates a larger stronghold in the land, do you think that's what they mean when they say we're going to go here and pray against this, when really it's just dealing with the conscious and subconscious of people in the area?
Yeah, and but it's a little bit more than just praying, though. Like, you have to plant yourself there.
Right. No, right.
Yeah, it's not just, hey, we're going to drive to New Orleans, we're going to pray against all these witches out here and change the vibration. It don't work like that. Like the prayer and the fasting and the communion and speaking it out is part of it. But there's people really doing that right now. Again, even with the New Orleans thing, there's a revival happening right now on Bourbon Street. There's a guy who started a church in an old bar on Bourbon Street, and people are walking in off the streets and they're worshiping the Lord, and they've planted themselves there. They didn't just pass through on a vacation and pray and then leave, right? So so with them being there, they're going to impact the vibration of that city, one soul at a time, one person at a time. And they may not knock it out themselves. It may not be, but then they may. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's more than just we're gonna fly. Even like I said, again, people flying over New Orleans. Let's fly over New Orleans in an airplane. We're closer to the heavens. We're contending with spirits, and we're just gonna bless it. I just bless everything I pass over. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of goes into it, like in the book of James, where it talks about faith and showing you my faith by my works. Like, I can bless you and say, hey man, hope everything goes good for you. Or I can stop, I can be the good Samaritan, get off of my horse, spend my money, get down there and really do life with you. And that's where we're going to see the most change. This spiritual stuff is practical. It's spiritual, it's esoteric, it's far out, but it's super practical at the end of the day.
I super love it, Derek. Can you reflect that really well in your book? And so I just want to thank you for writing it out and opening up your heart and what you're doing to whomever and navigating with people. It's a blessing.
Hey, thank you so much for the support, Amanda, and you just being you and showing up and doing what you do. You're awesome too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
All right, my friend. Bye-bye. Amanda, extraterrestrial. Good friend. Caller from the 702. Who we speaking with?
Hey, it's Dale. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. We were talking earlier about the whole demonology and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to think about what their end goal is. If you kind of start with the end in mind, you start to kind of see what you see things differently when you think, okay, like, what's the ultimate goal here? And what their ultimate goal is encouraging despair. So any kind of pain or despair, when you're talking about demons and addiction in particular, and you think about how it's like an epidemic, addictions, mental illness, it's epidemic levels. And that's driving, the homeless problem and breaking up of families and, just on. And that's a despair. And that's what they're trying to get at is encouraging that despair.
Yeah, that's what you're left with. I mean, what does the scripture says? What is it? Where hope abounds, right? So hope is going to be the opposite of despair, and so they can't really coexist, right?
Yep.
The demons and the darkness and these negative influence, which brings about despair in the end. So you're absolutely right.
Yep. Now,
I've
there's
been
a
there.
guy named Jerry Marzinski. Oh, well, yeah. There's a guy named Jerry Marzinski who was a clinical psychologist his whole career, and he really started to question things. And he wasn't a guy that was, particularly spiritual or particularly religious. And his work in, the really big psych hospitals, like 60s, 70s, 80s, when those really big psych hospitals were still in operation. And, if you were schizophrenic, if you were a certain type of schizophrenic and you were bad enough, you weren't out loose or you weren't at home or you weren't homeless because you were in one of those big psych hospitals. It wasn't necessarily a nice place to be, but that's where you were. And he started, really noticing things and questioning things. And he came to the conclusion that a lot of what we understand, or some of what we understand as mental illness, is some sort of demonic influence. And he'd be a really interesting guy to talk to if you ever get curious about him. He's been on different YouTube channels. Jerry Marzinski, or Dr. Jerry Marzinski. Freeman Fly had him. A couple of other shows have had him. And, you listen to him talk and you go, wow, like it really opens things up. And I've seen it in my own home when my husband was struggling with alcoholism.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the same person. He was not the same person. So, I mean, it really kind of changed my view of a couple things as well.
Yeah.
And, we talked about David Icke really briefly one time. So I popped into School of the Mystics. Like, I'm usually working on Thursdays. I popped into School of the Mystics and we talked about David Icke for a second and how he's shifted from, the Archons and the Reptilians. And he's talking about Sabbatean Francus. But I mean, it's the same goal of, trying to get to that despair. So anything they can do to break up your peace of mind, your happiness, your peace, your wellness, on all levels, your food, your,
because all of it comes into play, right? With
everything they can do.
Yeah, with your psyche. Like, again, you just said food. Like, all of that stuff comes into play with how we feel and how, we're going to feel today, or how we perform and how we feel spiritually, eating all this bad food, but then wanting to be optimal, spiritually or physically. You're not going to have the strength and vigor. You're not going to be able to have the mental clarity. All of that stuff comes into play. And so, I mean, I've seen it in my own life. And then the group that I used to follow, some teachers of mine, they would be out on the streets and they would be street preaching, and they would deal with a lot of what we would call demons, but it was coming through mentally ill people who would just lash out and scream and stuff. But it's like, it's the end goal. They want you to be like, they want to live in your mind. They want to live in your psyche. And that's the craziest thing that people need to understand, that it's what do you call it? It's a spiritual stronghold, as deep and creepy and as demonic as these entities may seem, or be physical entities that lived in outer space or had physical bodies or whatever. Like, they want to live in your psyche, or they want to live in your body as a disease, a dis-ease of the body, right? Putting you out of alignment. I remember when I was dealing with strong demonic possession, and one of the scariest things was like this. I had this, it only lasted maybe 2 or 3 days, but it was very scary. But I had this weird battle with hypochondria when I was really deep into it and possessed with demons and stuff. They made me think that every ailment, every sickness that I heard or seen on TV that someone had, I immediately believed 100% that I had that. And whether it was brain cancer, I remember testicular cancer, all of these crazy ailments, I overwhelmingly believed that I had them. And it was so much so that it was demonic. Like, it was scary, it was fear, it was crippling, it was I was going to die. And anytime someone mentioned something, it was like this transference into my psyche that I had it. And it was only 2 or 3 days where that happened, but it was very scary, and I was going insane. And that's when I understood I needed help, like, because I'm almost there. Like, I'm almost at the point of no return. So when I called out for help and, called out to God and tried to call some preachers to come pray with me, but they want to get you in this state of where you can't function. They want to think for you. They need a body. They need a host, because they have desires. They have things, and they need a body to do it. And some people play with these entities and want to open up themselves to, people open up themselves unknowingly. But some people want to do it knowingly, and just but I'm telling you, it's never worth it in the end. And that's one thing that I say throughout the entire book. Like, the state of that person, again, going back to what Jesus said, he says the state of that person is worse than before. Once they leave and you close that door, keep it closed, because 7 stronger are coming back. And he says that person whose estate is worse off than before. So much so that I'm like, when we're talking about these addictions and stuff, if you're not going to help them and you're not going to disciple them, maybe leave them in their addiction. Like, you really got to do the work. You don't just pass by and pray. Like, you got to have a community. You got to have a safety place. And there's a lot of them out there, and they're all not, there's so many different names of different places where people can get involved and grow and learn. But it really is a spiritual battle that we have to walk out. And it's not just pray for that person and it's done and we just keep walking. I've came at some of my evangelist friends who show up exactly. They show up in the middle of the hood and the ghetto, and there's heroin addicts and crack addicts and junkies walking down the street, and they come and get prayed for, receive healing and all kind of stuff, and they leave out. But they don't train them up. They don't have people in place that's going to bring them to church, if you will, or see to it that these people, get help. And it says the state of that person is worse than before. And that's a crazy example of how that stuff really happens.
It's got to be in balance. Like, you can get lost in the spiritual stuff, for sure. But it's got to be in balance. Like I said, you got to have your medical care. You got to have your good digestion and your good nutrition, and you got to get some sunshine and some exercise, and you need some sort of a purpose. You need to be working. You need the spiritual side. It's all got to be in balance. And, when we're talking about, say one person goes down with this, like one person gives in, and has given themselves over, now their job, they're almost like a meat puppet now. And, now they're another, how can I put it? They're basically another soldier that can be used now to influence. So, you get a family grouping, say, of like a family of 5, mom, dad, 3 kids. And one goes down with addiction or criminality or mental illness or whatever. Now that puts a wedge in the family. So now you don't have one victim, you've got 5. And then whoever's affected, like mom goes into work, she's extremely depressed, whatever. Now, it's almost like a virus. It's like a contagion. but you don't want to go to the other extreme with it of it's just all spiritual, or it's just all physical, or it's just all medical, or it's just all mental. It's got to be like a full spectrum. And when you think of how they send people to rehab and the success rates of a traditional rehab for addictions, it's just so low. It's pitiful. It's sad.
Yeah.
And you wonder why. It's like, okay, well, there's a full spectrum of different kinds of rehab center you can send them to. And, one will focus on yoga, and one will focus on this, and one will focus on that. And that's great, but when are we going to focus on the whole person?
Yeah, I mean,
the whole soul, the physical, the
podcast that we did the other day, I think we really tackled this subject of the different modalities for healing, and they all work. Like all of that, the ones that you just mentioned, they all work if you're willing to work it, and even with AA, AA being a rehab, they say it works if you work the steps work if you work the steps. That's their thing. And so you find out with a lot of these rehabs, people are there because they have to be there. Like they didn't choose to go to these 12 steps. I interviewed a guy about 2 years ago now. He went to 16, 17 different rehabs, and on the 16th one, it worked. It took 16 before it finally kicked in, but yeah, all of them work if you want it to work. It could be church, it could be religion, it could be Kundalini yoga. Like it can be any type of practice that helps you to become mindful, to appreciate life, to work through forgiveness and all of those kind of things. They all work if you work them. If you don't mind me asking, what was it that ended up working for your husband? Uh-oh. I think I lost her. Again, they all work if you work them. We went into a lot of detail in this past podcast, but the universe is set up in such a way that you find what you're looking for. I got another guy, a good friend of mine, in my inbox right now. He sent me this video of this guy exposing an exposed video on Lauren Daigle, the Christian singer. And it's just long. It's about 30 minutes. I watched like 2 minutes of it and said, okay, this is enough. Cause I know what it is. But the guy was exposing, Lauren Daigle and saying that she wasn't a Christian and she doesn't know her Bible and she's not against homosexuality, and just had all of these accusations against her why she isn't a Christian artist and isn't even a Christian. And my friend watched the video and he's like, hey, what do you think about this, man? I said, because he knew me, I was like, I used to make videos like that. I used to expose people and point out people's flaws and failures. Yeah, she probably don't know the Bible like this guy. She's probably not a biblical theologian, right? She probably doesn't know like everything that this guy knows, right? But it's the fact that the fact that this guy would make a video and expose her downfall or her flaws or whatever the case is, and make a video exposing it. That's what I'm more concerned with. I'm not concerned about her lack of faith or her judgment and whatever. My concern is why is this guy making a video kicking someone when they're down or trying to put them down and showing you why they aren't Christian and stay away from it. Don't listen to her music. That's the thing I'm into, like wanting to get to the psychology behind that because something triggers him. So I told my friend, so look, I don't want to watch it just because I used to do that and things. And you read her lyrics and she's got all these lyrics about how beautiful Jesus is and fix your eyes upon the beauty of Christ. And I said, man, read these lyrics and you can't be a Christian or not be a Christian and sing that, you know what I'm saying? So you find what you're looking for. If you're looking for the flaws, again, we have people who tune in and out of my podcast. They just jump in from random points and times and they look in the background and they see Pokemon or video games, or I think I have a wine bottles behind me. I have the Caduceus wine bottle from the Tool lead singer James Maynard Keenan, and my wife got that bottle of wine for me for Valentine's and surprised me one year. And so, and people will see that, oh, he's got a bottle of wine. And there's some people, if people are watching this on YouTube in the video, you see I have this overlay, and it's like these little honeycomb. And for them, in their psyche, that for some reason the honeycomb represents something satanic. Like they'll leave comments and say that I'm an Illuminati puppet because I have symbolism all over my page, and they're talking about this honeycomb, whether it means the hive mind or bees and honeycombs and octagons and things like that, hexagrams, they're all symbolic and have deeper meaning. But you find what you're looking for. And that goes back to the healing part. That goes back to whatever religion. I believe you can find God in any of these religions. Just like you can go and find other things in those religions too. You can find fallacies. You can probably find child molestation. You can find heresies in all of them. Every single one. The Christian, the Hindu, the Muslim, they all got crazy stuff. You just don't know it. You're an outsider, but you can't see these things. But if you're looking for it, you can find it, the signs and the symbols and stuff. And I go into a lot of detail on a lot of this stuff in the book even. I talk about signs and symbols. Every section in this book could have been a book in and of itself. Like I'm talking about the duality and the different types of signs and symbols, and you may see something, but I see something else. This means something else to me. You know, the sign of the cross, the upside down cross, the Baphomet, the pentagram, the upside down pentagram. Like it means different things to different people. Unless you've done the research and the study, you're an outsider. It's gonna be something totally different to you. You're not gonna get it. So there's a beauty in symbolism. Therefore, people would say, well, let's don't use any symbolism because it's going to confuse people and things like that. Like, it's so funny, man. I was doing I did a shirt for Mars. I know a lot of you guys know the rapper Mars, who used to rap with Insane Clown Posse, but I did a interview with him, and I was working on some t-shirt designs for him, and he was on this big thing, like exposing the demonic and all kind of stuff like that. And, he sent me a shirt design, and it was a cross with a crown in it. And there's a lot of churches with that cross and crown. I was like, I don't care, but I just want you to know this is a Masonic symbol. The cross and crown is a Masonic symbol. The crown with the cross going. He's like, and he did the research. He's like, I don't want it on my shirt. When it comes to symbolism, like the more you look into it, the more you look at it, everything has science. There's nothing new under the sun. Even when we try to make something up, we find out that it was used by a sun cult 7,000 years ago, or so. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my TS logo. There's people who watch the podcast. They tune in. They see the TS for TruthSeekah on the microphone here, and it does, and it's supposed to represent the staff of Moses with the serpent around it, or the caduceus, right? And the symbolism, it represents healing, it represents wisdom, it represents the release of sacred energy, aligning up the spine, and awakening. It represents the path of awakening. It represents so much, but people will tune in and they'll see that one thing and they're out. I went into a long rant, and I think I might have even offended some people Tuesday, talking about how some people come walk with you only a little ways. It's the path of the mystic. It's the path of the light worker. They're not going to be with you always, and you have to be open for that. You can't get offended. You can't get mad when people come and they're only there. I mean, you think they're gonna be in there for a while. I mean, you got to learn. I mean, it's everyone. Like, if you're on this path, it's one of the tests. I don't know what grade it is in this school. It might be 3rd grade, I don't know, but you'll be on this path where we call the dark night of the soul, and can be a lonely walk for a lot of people. So just get ready. And I want to apologize if anybody got offended for me saying that. I know when I speak about things openly, everyone thinks it's about them. You know what I'm saying? But that's just coming with the information. I know I talked about the book, but all of these things we're talking about are polarizing. And if you don't take a hard left or you don't take a hard right, and you go down the middle, you're going to part people. But I'm with those people. I'm with the ones who want to see the beauty. I'm with the ones who want to see God in all things, see the beauty in all, even the demonic. I want to see the demonic in all things. I want to see the bad stuff. What, you know what I'm saying? Like the devil's advocate, like what could go wrong if we do this? What could people say? What could people see? There's beauty in that, in the story, in the symbolism. Chris Garner says Joseph Campbell. Man, just trying to jump on to some of these questions here. Again, the phone lines are open, coming towards almost the end of the show. It's hard to kind of talk and read the questions too. But if anyone's asking a question and I didn't answer it, just copy and paste it, ask it again. You know, I'll try to get to it. And sometimes the stream moves so fast that I can't keep up with it. But shout out to, again, everyone listening live. And I don't want to marginalize, and I want to shout out to the people listening on the podcasting apps as well. You guys rock. Karen says love and light from South Africa. Vanna says perception is reality and duality in all things. Yeah, what I said in I think it was in I don't know what song it was, but I said perfection is perception, one will become what they perceive. Perfection is perception, one will become what they perceive. Praying for open heavens, seeing visions of the Elohim. I think that was in Chimerica. No, that was in Esoteric Agenda. Yeah, perception, man. And perception is beautiful, though. Like, even the intricacy of that. Of we're all looking at the same thing, but we're standing at different angles. So we all see a different piece of it separately, and it's different, and it's revealed to us differently from that path and where we're standing. Like God, for the most part, like if you look at God as the all, and everyone's approaching it from a different perspective and seeing a different light and a different essence of his glory or what he is or his rage, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just so many. I think that all possibilities exist and all of them are valid. But I do find the beauty in what you focus on. The beauty of what you focus on. Because you get to choose. The Bible says, choose this day who you will serve. The life and death is in the tongue. You get to choose. And it's manifestation. I know there's areas and everyone's different. So I respect where you are no matter what. No matter where you are. Whether you agree or you believe or you're here. And I respect that too. You know? And just seeing the beauty in how eclectic our beliefs are. And again, I'm just going deeper and deeper on this whole what is Christ thing. It's like the beauty of Christ manifested in a group of people is not manifested because we have all things in common like the early church. But I think the beauty is manifested that they had differences and still came together. And were still able to work through their beliefs and their isms and schisms. And they were still able to come together. That's where the beauty is. At least my perception of that beauty. All of it's beautiful. There is beauty when you all have all things in common. There's beauty when you ain't got nothing in common except love. And you choose to walk in that. And you don't even bring up your differences because love is the greatest. You know, I don't believe in aliens, but I believe in love. I don't believe in mysticism. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in spirituality, but I believe in love. And if we can speak that language, man, that's the universal language. Love. At the end of the day. At the end of the day. Man, what else? I want to talk about this for a moment. However important this is, I'm just excited. I got this in for anybody who cares. If you're watching on the, video, somebody tell me what this is in the chat. I'm gonna see if anybody knows. But I did get this in, and I'll tell you guys listening. I'm holding up something in front of me, and I got it in, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's really cool. It's like a relic. It took a long time to come in. There's that. I'm opening up this for people. And there's a video. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Pretty cool. Well, if you don't know what it is, it's the new Tool CD, the collector's edition, and it's got a TV built into the CD case, which is very cool. Bunch of beautiful artwork. I got that in. That's really cool. Wanted to show that off. Thought it was dope. Go and see them again. I think in February. There was a memes. I saw a meme online and I shared it out. It said, there's this whole meme about, I'm going to tell my kids this is this. I'm going to tell my kids this was whoever. And there was a Tool meme that said, I'm going to tell my kids this is church. And it was a Tool concert. I was like, pretty much. It's about right. Also, want to let you guys know that we are doing the men's retreat in April. We have that scheduled as well. Selling tickets for that. If anybody would like to come and take a trip into the forest and get in touch with nature, get in touch with God with us. We're doing a men's retreat. My wife is hosting a women's retreat as well. She still has seats open for her January date, which I believe is January the 18th, I believe it is. But you can go you can just contact one of us online and we'll send you the link. I keep forgetting the website. We got our whole website up and all that kind of stuff, but I keep forgetting it. But if you want to go to a retreat, women's retreat, men's retreat, whatever it is, hit me up. We'll send you the information on that. We got a bunch of people coming from all over, so it's going to be good. Let me see, jump into some of these questions here for a few minutes. Everybody's guessing what that is. Illumina says, I need that. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Every good song by Tool was made by Donald Marshall, including Judas. I don't know about that. I have to kind of blowing my mind with that, sir. I don't know what that is. Is he a writer? Don't know. Let's see. I'm going to tell my kid that's an 8-track. You don't know how big of a whistleblower he is. Interesting. Christy says January 25th or 18th. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. Maybe it's the 25th, Christy. I have to see. So Padawan, I know you, and I've seen this question. You've asked this several times. Have you ever heard of the psychic John Edward? Yeah. I know you've asked that for a couple of days too. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting to it. Wow, now that's crazy. This whole Donald Marshall thing. Full-Time Geek says Donald Marshall was an Illuminati slave, and he was forced to make songs at the cloning centers. And you say every good song by Tool was made by him. That's strange. It goes deep, right? It goes deep. Okay, so I'm being corrected here. The chat comments, they always correct stuff. I'm being corrected. The women's retreat is the 25th of January. For those of you who are trying to go, Christy Folks already has her ticket, and she corrected me in the chat. That's weird. So Full-Time Geek also says that he is dirt poor, even though he has made more songs than anyone in history. He has been used for his skills and ideas. So I'm assuming if he wrote those songs, he would be in the credits, right? He would be in the song credits. I don't see anything online when I type in his name in Tool. Very interesting. Javier says, I hope to be buying my ticket soon to the retreat in April, brother. That's what's up, man. Look forward to finally meeting you. I wish I would have met you last time. I want to tell your story. Say yes or no if I can tell your story, but I want to tell it. So just say yes or no in the chat. for the concert that you wanted to make. Chris Garner says, I don't buy his story. I mean, so here's the thing, like, and let me ask you guys, I mean, opening up the phone lines, it's fun. It's a lot of work on the back end of like tying phone lines together and opening switchboards and connecting it. So there's a lot more work in it, but I'm able to hear from you guys more. I'm able to hear other perceptions. This podcast is also a form of learning when I have guests on and I just pick their brain. So it's a form of study and stuff. So when you guys are bringing all this stuff to the table, like, I don't read or look into a lot of new stuff, and I've admitted that. Like, I'm just trying to articulate a lot of this old stuff that I've been studying for years. But when you guys come up with some of this stuff, it's really cool, because these names and these people, I don't know who they are. Donald Marshall, I mean, this Angelian, term and all of this stuff that Richie brought. I wrote this stuff down. Jerry Marzinski, like, I'm going to look these people up because it sounds very interesting. So the whole aspect to learning and making this more of a community forum and people calling in with questions and stuff like that, I think we're going to keep it up. I think I'm gonna keep doing it, and I usually have a guest here with us, but I think I'm gonna keep it up. Okay, so Chris Garner says I can find him by adding cloning to his name. So let me do that. What about with Tool though? See, that's this whole thing, like, cause I try to work through some of these people. You guys know I don't like just have anybody on. Like, I really like. I want to make sure they're legit. There's people who I turn down who want to come on the podcast every day. I try to work through them. Like, my buddy was like sending me all these time travelers. These time travelers. He wanted me to have on the podcast. He's like, I think the biggest part of us that makes us want to look into this stuff is the fact that we want it to be true. Like, deep inside, we want this guy to really be a time traveler. Maybe deep inside, you want Donald Marshall to be a clone and writing songs for Tool. I don't know. Like, deep inside, part of us wants this stuff, and so we start researching it and watching videos and studying it until we find enough information that helps us come to an understanding on it, and it becomes real to us. And but I get some of this stuff, and for me, some of it's way far out, and I'm not into it. I'm not into the star travelers. I mean, the star jumpers, you know what I'm saying? I'm not into the time travelers. But a lot of you guys are. And conspiracy stuff is big. I just haven't been into it a lot. I find that, like, a lot of the conspiracies that you follow, most of them are false. Now, there's a lot of them that's true. Don't get me wrong. You got to sound like a crazy person and rooting and ranting for the longest time, but a lot of this stuff does come out to be true. So for me, like, the star travelers or the time travelers and stuff, it's like there's holes in their stories. They're, but he's like, if you have them on, you'll get a lot of views. I was like, man, I don't want those views. Full-time Geek says Edge of Wonder are good dudes. Yeah. Let's see. Javier says, either I don't remember the convo, it wasn't me. Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was you, bro. Maybe it was somebody else. Well, there was a guy. I thought it was you. You just say yes or no. Maybe it wasn't. Anyway, connecting with me in these events and stuff. So, for my album release last year, I think it's been last year, it's a long time ago, Wild Time's Flying, I put out my album Seer. I can't remember. Yeah, it was last year for sure. I put out the album Seer, and I did a album release party that was at a house. So we did a house party concert, but we opened it up for everybody, and was promoting it on the podcast, and it was my first album in 3 years. So I worked really hard on it and wanted to do a nice event. So we put this house party on and sold tickets online, and I was blown away because people traveled from everywhere. Like the average was like an 8 hour drive for people to be here. And it was people who had been listening to the podcast for a couple years now and tuned in Patreon and dealing with our Thursday night School of the Mystics. And these people just drove from all over. Like I'm in Alabama. We had people driving from Houston, Dallas. We had people driving from Tennessee, Orlando, North Carolina. Like all these people just coming in, and like it blew me away. But I thought it was you. Maybe it's a different guy, and maybe it's a different Javier. But there was one guy who got the dates mixed up. And he drove, I think it was from Dallas or Houston. Houston, I think. It was like 12 hours. He did a 12-hour drive on the wrong day. It was the day after. And he went to the house, the address to the venue, and he pulled up and nobody was there. And he got up and nobody came to the door. And he drove 12 hours to the concert and came on the wrong day. And he said it was him and his wife. He said that his wife was upset. And he was like, man, I kind of fudged this one up, kind of blew it. So he said they went and got a hotel and just went and got a bottle and just sat in the parking lot drinking and made the best of it. And he had a little retreat with him and his wife. But he said he learned a lot about planning and writing stuff down and making sure like plans are legit and things like that. I thought it was you. Maybe it was somebody else. But I thought that was interesting because if the person would have contacted me through Facebook or Patreon or wherever, like I'm pretty sure I would have responded, and we were like everybody who was in town, we were at a huge bonfire at my house, and he still could have got up, but he was at the hotel sulking, cooling with the wife. It was meant to be. But hey, we're doing another one. We got these retreats lined up. I'm about ready for another concert. I haven't done any concerts lately. I'm about ready to do something. Want to plan it right. We could do the house parties. It's kind of like the easy way for us to do it because we don't have to pay for a venue, and we can use our own sound systems and equipment and things like that. Our own light show, like me and a couple other brothers, Justin. We could put our own thing together, and it'd be cool. And the cool things about house parties or smaller venues is that you don't have to have a lot of people to pack it out. There was an old blues song, rhythm and blues song, that says the smaller the club, the bigger the party. Because we used to rent venues all the time, and if you rent everybody wanted to play at the big venue with the big stage and the lights and all the huge stadium seating, and everybody wanted to play there. But you got to pack it out. Like you got to really, really pack that out. And if you don't, then it's going to look like nobody's there. Even if you have a lot of people at a stadium, they're spread out. We would book these big venues and stuff, but the best ones was these little coffee shops or house shows, which, man, we've had so many house shows back, and we used to do house shows here and just people shoulder to shoulder in the entire house. Awesome. We'd get there and I was in a metal band, we'd play, and then I would rap and stuff too, and it'd be just hundreds of kids, man. And getting it back to the smaller house shows, man, just to set up and do it, and they're fun. So I may set something like that up if you're interested in housing one of these, right? You want to get me out or get some of the guys out, we'll come out and do a house show. If you can get a crowd there, man, we'll make it happen. Whatever, we're just brainstorming, we're doing it together. Hit me up. Let me know if you would like to come see me in concert and do some more music. I haven't been focusing on a lot of music lately. I'm working on some courses. I've been working on the book, all of this kind of stuff. So trying to get the podcast down and getting it out there to more people and stuff like that. So that consumes a lot of time. So I haven't really been working on a lot of music, but I'm getting the bug. I'm getting the music bug again, and I'm wanting to do another show. So it is what it is. Javier says, okay. Javier says, he says, no, that wasn't him in the story, but it sounds like something that he would do. He said, this is Javier from Georgia for sure. Go Dogs. Heck yeah. 100 Days at a Time says, I've done a few retreats and they're really transformational. That's what's up. I'm down for the bonfire for sure though. Home Sauce trying to do a track with you, or hook you up with my dude Doobie and do a song with him for sure. Richie says, yeah, I'm down for the music, working on a venue out here for potential health. For sure, man. Yeah, let me know, and we'll make it happen. I haven't done, most people know me from the music. I got to make sure I continue to work on it and continue to focus on it, right? I know I have a huge back catalog of music and videos that were like, I go back and listen to them now, and I'm just taken back, and I'm just still trying to find ways to get that stuff out there to people. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find ways to get the music out to people who haven't heard it yet, because there's so much out there in like a back catalog of stuff that kind of need help getting it out there. So, and then music is changing so much as well, like the way people consume music. YouTube algorithms will work on a video and spend hundreds of dollars on it, and then 700 people will see it, versus like my other videos that would get like 20,000 streams in a month on YouTube and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just not, a lot of it you can't even search. Like, you search the song and video by name and it will not come up. I have to go through my library and scroll and find it if I want to share it. Google won't pull it up. I don't know if they downrank it. I know I did some tag stuffing back in the day. I was able to get a lot of organic traffic that way, but I know Google frowns on that now. Like, I would put David Icke, Mysticism, Manly P. Hall, Jordan Maxwell. Like, all of that would be in the description. It would say like for fans of, or people, and I would get organic traffic that way. But I know that they frown on that. So maybe there were updates and that doesn't work anymore. I don't know. So trying to figure out ways, like, you got to spend money just to get eyes on your stuff and buy ad revenue and buy ad promotions and organic traffic that you already have through social media. You still have to pay for people to see it, or they won't see it. So I have to like spend money, make the video, and then have a budget to promote it, to get it out there, not to new people. I can understand getting your stuff out to new people and paying for that, but you actually have to pay for your already listeners and fans to hear it now. That's just crazy. So I guess that's where email list comes in at this point. I could still send it out. Illuminous says, your music is my meditation when I'm dealing with the public online. For sure. 100 Days says, Instagram. I do Instagram. It just doesn't really pop for me. I don't know. I'm too old. I don't know how to do it. I can't do stories, man. I've tried to do stories and it just doesn't work. The Instagram stories or Facebook stories. And I know they say like that gets more traction than an actual post. And I don't even do it. Javier says, and there's a song for everybody, man. That's what I love about your artistic diversity. For sure. Definitely. I mean, if I've done 200 songs at this point, it should be a song for everybody. And it lends to the diversity of my spiritual progress as well. Just, from being a Christian artist, talking about shooting demons with guns and the devil wants to fight me. And like literally like in 2006, I put out an album and that was the content matter. The devil don't want none of this. What's happening? Like, it was gangster Christian rap. And to now, where it's transformed into going through some rap, rock, metal stuff that I did, which was different for the time, and into more aggressive political stuff, and then going into more the spiritual enlightenment, aggressive, but then being more laid back and meditative type hip hop music as well that I've been working on. So there's definitely something for everybody. So let's see. So 100 Days says, I found cool stuff on Instagram and I'm old as fuck. Give it a try for a week. Like, I'm on it. Maybe I should just do a week of stories and see if there's any engagement. I don't know. Okay. And, Chris Garner says, so y'all go to TruthSeekah.com and get you an album. That way you all got the time. You got it all the time for sure. And I need to archive my videos better because, like I said, I put a lot of work in them videos, man. Some crazy stuff. And that's why, again, just getting back to, that's why a lot of people listen to the podcast. That's why a lot of people are subscribed to the channel. It's because of the music. So, but I want to make sure, like, you've seen the freaking catalog. And I think most have, I guess. I don't know if you're here. But there's a freaking back catalog from, like, 2012, man. Illumina says, I love that OG Christian rap. I need more of that. LOL. No. You don't. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Gangsta Christian rap that cracked me up. It does. It's funny. I laugh at it. And it was good for its time, though, man. I mean, 2006. I mean, I was working on it 2003 and 4. You know, those. And then, you know, it is funny, though, when you think about it at this point. But then it was relevant to a lot of who I was and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, hey, it's out there, too. It's an album called Fight Music. TruthSeekah Fight Music. Go listen to it. It's all on Spotify. I don't think it's on... It should be everywhere. I'm having problems with iTunes. Pulled one of my albums. I don't know why. They didn't even tell me. I'll go through my aggregator, which is CD Baby. Told them that, hey, my album's not on iTunes anymore. You're the ones who's supposed to upload it. Like, what's the deal? And they won't even tell me. I won't even respond. And they get a cut off of every album sold and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, man, it's getting tricky doing it by yourself. I guess I need a manager and a publicist, right? Hit me up, publicist, managers. I'm talking to a few. I am. Be cool. They're going to try to help get the book out to some bigger places. And when you guys are going to see me on Joe Rogan is what some people want me to be on. But I'm going to be on Coast to Coast. Mark my words. I'm going to be on Coast to Coast AM talking about this book and the contents thereof. It's a good book, man. It is available on Kindle now. If you go to the Amazon, it's available there on Kindle. So all of you who, and it's so funny, people are just waiting on their version to come out. They were like, I don't want the soft cover. I want the Kindle. And then other people want the audio book. So now I got to make the audio book. But a friend of mine told me who did an audio book. He said, I'm never doing an audio book again. So, because it's hard work. Javier says, Sear was the first album I heard and it was fire, but then Colors came out. I was like, yo, these are all bangers for sure. But I mean, most people will probably say my best work was 333. So hopefully you've kind of went backward into and checked out some of the older stuff. Spiritual Alchemy, Awaken the Fire, all of that stuff. Again, Padawan says, I like the purple one you use on the cover and in your room there. Yeah, for sure. Spiritual Alchemy was that purple color. I had a friend, I'm not going to say his name. Oh my God, I'm reading these comments here. I had a friend who like looked at my color scheme and all of this stuff, and he said I stole it from him. He doesn't even have a podcast. He said if he did a podcast, it would be this color. And if he did a video stream, it would be this color. And that everything that I'm doing, that I took the idea from him. That's crazy. Purple. For some reason, purple and blues have been like the color. And it's probably because of one of the first websites that I saw. It was like a Wayne Dyer website that had like purple and blue stars and stuff like that. And I've always just kind of went with those colors, and they all just kind of stand out to me. For me they represent that. I don't know. Purple and blue have just been those colors, and then green with the green light beings. Wow. Santiago says, just tuning in. That book reminds me of Manly P. Hall book, Secret Teachings. Definitely a smaller version, right? Definitely. I'm a huge Manly P. Hall fan. I'm thinking about, like, I've been thinking about this, but to do another podcast or just have content or just a live stream, whatever, but just kind of reading through some of Manly P. Hall's stuff and breaking it down. Just because a lot of that stuff is lost to this generation. You know, a lot of people don't even read anymore. Trying to get some of that info out, but I think that a lot of that info's come out through my music and through sampling, using his lectures in my music and stuff as well. Illuminus says, my boys in Cali ask me a lot of questions about you. Your music is waking up some of these guys. It's so funny. Somebody told me yesterday, they hit me up and said that they heard my music on a playlist in the gym. Somebody was listening to it in the gym on a playlist, working out to it, and they heard it and said, hey, who's that? And became a fan. Home Sauce says, Spiritual Alchemy is my personal favorite. Yeah. And you know what? Part of creating, and I've been open with this, but part of creating is like, I don't think I can top my last album. Like I never can. I never think that I can top it. Meet or beat is the name of the game, but it's hard. Like if you set the bar so high, like I can't just like snap of the fingers, put that stuff out. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. There's a lot of alchemy. There's a lot of studying. Like there's a lot of listening for samples. There's so much stuff that goes into that. It's a fear of mine that I can't do it. But when I try, I think I do. Like I have that fear, that notion that there's no way I'm gonna outperform this. But it's like if I can meet it, I'm good. If I can hit that quality, maybe do a continuation almost. So that's always the fear. But when I try, I do though. Like there's some newer stuff that I've put out recently with Loke Saint. Like some of that stuff was dope on the ESP EP, which was only a couple new songs on there. But I think that I've kind of been able to meet or beat it, right? Some people will say even beat it. Like this, I've got so many comments on some of the new stuff saying, "Hey, this is your best work yet," and it's stuff that just came out. But make sure you hit the back catalog for sure. Not just the music, but the videos too. Like there are a bunch. You may just have to scroll through my channel, and there's like a lot of videos. But the early stuff, man, it was passionate. There was a lot of stuff going on in the heavenlies during those albums. Just reading the chat here before I end the episode. All creators feel that way, is what 100 Days says. They all feel that way. Oh, I can't do better. I don't have it in me. It's gonna suck. Nobody's gonna take it. All creators feel that way. Yeah. I'm with you. I think they do. I think it's good though. It's healthy. It makes sure that you're going to meet or beat, right? You're not going to, I never want to put out something that's lesser quality than what I've already done. That's a step backward. Nautilus Hope says ODD TV has woke music. Just saying. For sure. I did an interview with ODD. Well, he was on my podcast. Tell him to interview me. I want to go on his channel. Yeah, he's cool, man. Definitely with the conspiracy, woke stuff. I love what he's doing. His videos are awesome, for sure. Okay, so Santiago says, D, some traveling live podcast would be dope, man. Yeah, dude, I need to relocate. You're my go-to guy, man. You set it up, bro. I need to relocate or get y'all to come to Alabama or something. But, because the live podcast was fun when I did that with you. A lot of people want to come here and do it, and I just don't. I'd rather them not be here. Like they want to be in studio with me, sitting beside me. It's very awkward to do a live podcast sitting beside and recording it. I just don't like it. And my friends locally, like, let me come to the studio and do one. No, just do it at your house and just pull your phone out and let's do a legit one over the phone. It's awkward. It's fun. It just feels weird. I don't know. Maybe on camera because we're looking sideways. I don't know. I've done a couple, of those podcasts in the back too, back in the day. Well, Christy says new Loke Saint songs. No, the ones we did off of Messengers, which were on. Well, there were some new ones too. I mean, Voices, which that's a dope song. Voices was on ESP. Santiago, come to the Christmas party. Yeah, bro. Y'all come. Everyone's coming. Padawan, I've been trying to spread TruthSeekah in San Jose amongst my friends. They aren't taking the bait, though. That's what's up. It's one of those things where it kind of finds people when they need it. Like, you can't force somebody to like it. Like, I mean, I was like that with LCOB. I was trying to make all my friends listen to Lost Children of Babylon. They weren't buying it. They were into the gangsta Christian rap. They wasn't into the metaphysical stuff. They wasn't into the but I loved it. I made them listen to it. Oprah didn't die for your sins, awaken the fire, for sure. I don't know if I still had that shirt. I think I gave it away in a giveaway a couple years ago. Yeah, Santiago. So I guess everybody, we're having a Christmas party. We have one every year. They get bigger and bigger every year. We do Dirty Santa and have fun and have a couple drinks and kick it and it was slam packed last year. It was crazy. But yeah, the info's on my page. There's an event. I'll share it out again. But yeah, a lot of people travel. I know Christy's coming. She's traveling. Who else is coming? Fluman's coming. Allie's coming. Chris is coming. Nicole's coming. Everyone's coming. Everyone is too aggressive. Santiago, get with TruthSeekah about the party for sure. LCLB Americas for sure. All right, y'all, I'm done. I'm reading comments. I'll stay here all day reading your comments. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for hanging out. Phone lines were fun. Everyone calling in was a lot of fun, you know, and I love hearing from you guys and hearing your stories and seeing what you guys have to add to the conversation. It's one thing to do it in chat, but it's another thing to kind of hear your voice and the inflection of your voice and those kind of things as well. I'm part of me scared because I need a call screener, because you get the screamers who call. They call in and just start screaming, or they call in and just start cursing, because we're streaming on so many platforms right now, and we're streaming on Twitch, and that's where the trolls live, on Twitch, and sometimes YouTube. But yeah, I'm scared that they're going to call in and start cursing. They do it. And I have to deal with the karma because I used to do it. You know? At least make it a good prank call. Don't call in and start cursing. Just call in and like, make up a story. Let's do something, man. Just don't be cursing like that. It's not cool, man. I'll give out your phone number on the air and get all the trolls to call you. So, with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. One last look, just one last glimpse at the chat here. Everyone says peace out. Have a good one, TruthSeekah. Great chat. Research Donald Marshall. Much love. Okay, I got a bunch of stuff to research now. And I'll say thank you for that, guys, giving me this new information, because I don't watch a lot of stuff anymore. Look up random people. So thank you guys for that. Yeah, with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom, man. Anybody wants to come on as a guest, if you got a book, music, whatever it is that you want to promote, you want to advertise on the show, there are advertising opportunities available. We're trying to take this thing to the next level. Really needing funding because my fees just tripled. No, quadrupled. My hosting fees just quadrupled. It's scary. But all things are possible for them that believe, and we're called to do great things. So if you want to support, you want to give a donation, whatever it is, you can go to TruthSeekah.com. You can partner with me there through Patreon. You get access to a lot of cool stuff. My entire discography, Thursday Night School of the Mystics, meditations, bunch of cool stuff. If you just want to donate, it's there. Thank you guys for all the support, all the donations that a lot of people have kind of went out of the way, especially during the holiday seasons, right? When it's hard for anyone to give and people are like, hey, we believe in what you're doing. We want to fund it. We want to help you take it to the next level. Thank you guys, man. All of it helps. Even if it's a little bit, whatever level you're doing, man, it really does help. Thank you guys. You being here, you sharing it out. I'm getting alerts that people are sharing. All of that stuff really does matter, man. With each one, reach one. Together we'll change the world. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. And we'll do this again very soon. Love you guys. Peace, peace.
Have a book, product, or service you'd like to promote? Look no further. Ad slots and commercials are now available for you to get the word out about what you do on the TruthSeekah Podcast.
We give you what you need.
Engage the spiritual community and get yourself instantly in front of thousands of listeners who explore the spiritual, paranormal, supernatural, religious, and metaphysical realms. Have your commercial inserted into our entire archive of episodes. That includes the one with Jordan Maxwell, James Gilliland, Dr. Michael Heiser, and that weird one with Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Stop sleeping on yourself. Know your worth. Let's get the word out today about what you have to offer. Head on over to TruthSeekah.com and click on Advertise for more info.
Your way is so much higher than mine. So much higher than mine. So much deeper than mine.
But if anyone's asking.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah Podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.